Please welcome lead leader, one of our members.
Thank you, Mel. I've spoken in many countries around the world, and I've been introduced by many famous people. But I can say without any fear of contradiction, Mel, that introduction would have to be the most recent. Okay, what we're going to talk about today will change your lives. It's entirely up to you what you do with it. It will be very challenging, confrontational, and in many cases where we've given this talk over the last 30 years, thousands of times, often people will stand up and run out of the room. That's okay too, because we'll bring you back. We're going to challenge your very core belief systems. And one of the questions I get asked more than any other question is, why are some people in life successful and others not? You see, we're basically the same. We've all got 2 eyes, 2 ears, a mouth, 2 legs. I will grant you that some have more education than the others. But if education alone was the reason people were successful, far more people would be successful. So it's not education. The question is, what is it? Today, we're going to tell you the secret and foundation of all success. But before we start, can I ask you a question? Will you raise your hands, anyone in the room who's done anything in their life that was absolutely dumb and stupid? Please raise your hands. Will you raise your hands if you've done anything in your life that was dumb and stupid? You knew it was dumb and stupid whilst you did it, but did it anyhow? Will you please raise your hands? Have you ever done anything in your life that was dumb and stupid? You knew it was dumb and stupid whilst you did it anyhow, vowed you would never, ever, ever do it again, but did it again? Will you raise your hands, please? What does that go to prove? Doesn't go to prove that you're stupid and dumb. It goes to prove that we do not always do what we know to be correct. The question is why. So let's explore that. Fair enough? Let's have a look at success. What is success, may I ask, for a start? What's your interpretation of success, may I ask? What do you deem successful?
Lifestyle, freedom.
Lifestyle, freedom, anything else?
Balance in all areas of life.
Anything else?
Happiness.
Happiness. Okay. Success is what you want it to be, whatever that may be. If success to you is living off the dole and living with 10 people in a home and sharing it and sponging off the nation, if that's your definition of success and you're doing in that, you are successful. Reasonable? If your definition of success is being, right, contributing to society, helping people to get along, building and being productive, and you're doing that, you're not successful. Interesting, isn't it? I'll say this slowly to you. Human beings are success machines. Every single person is successful. Some are successful at being successful. Some are very successful at being failures. So let's have a look at what success is. Would you agree with me success is determined by your actions? Would you agree with me that good actions normally, but not always, lead to success? The question then is, what makes us act the way we act? Would you agree with me it's the way that you think? In fact, most mistakes in action can be traced directly back to a mistake in thinking. So what makes us think the way that we think? It's the way we have been programmed to think. I know a lot about programming because I was born and raised in the north of England, where we were heavily programmed. My mother used to say things to me like, children should be seen and not heard. Do not go where you're not wanted. Do not speak until you're spoken to. Your mum did the same, I can tell. Are you English? She had my favourite one. My mother used to say to me, always eat everything on your plate, there are starving people in Africa.
Yeah.
Have that one? As a kid I was obese, but I felt good. I must have saved 50 kids. Then was the other one. Always wear clean underwear. You never know when you're going to finish up in hospital. True? Are we related?
We're all rejects from the UK. Our grandparents got out as convicts.
Did they? Can you imagine you're convict and we're going to send you, they sent people to the Bahamas and to Australia as a punishment. Can you believe this? My mother used to say to me, always wear clean underwear. You never know when you're going to finish up in hospital. If you've been hit by a truck and you've got clean underwear, you're tough. We're talking about programming. And that was another one my mother used to say, what will the neighbours think?
Yes.
You with me? But who programmed my mother? And who programmed her mother? And you see, we don't have to go back too many generations before we're in the trees and in the caves, but we are still passing that negative programming down to children. We have to break the cycle, and I'm going to show you how to do it. It's not difficult. Okay, programming. We say that if you can change your programming, that will change the way you think, in turn affect the way you act, you determine your own success. Is it 2 T's or 3 T's in success? I'm Lex Dixick, by the way. You'll probably find. Many times I'm on stage and I write something on the board and I can hear people laughing, and I know they're laughing, I know I've done it, but I can't see it. There's no T's in success. Oh. How's that? Okay, so we're talking about programming. Let me talk about programming. I'm going to ask you all a question now that you will answer instantly. And you all learnt that when you were tiny. What is 3 times 7? 21? Why did you say 21?
Because that's what I was programmed to believe.
That was your what? Can you just speak up?
That's what I was programmed to believe.
That's what you programmed. How old were you when you were programmed to believe 3 times 7 is 21?
5.
This big?
3.
This big? How that big? And you all sat in a class?
Little, yeah.
Like I was, and you had a big board, and the teacher went round 3 times 7, and you did your times table. You all do that?
Yeah.
What would have happened if that can I ask you a question? How many kids in the room raised their hands and said, excuse me, miss, can you prove that?
None.
What did they do?
They said, okay, 3 times 7 equals 21.
Good. What would have happened if that teacher would have told those kids that 3 times 7 is 28? And you'd have gone through your life never challenging that. And I asked you today what 3 times 7 were. What would you say?
28.
And would you believe it?
Yep.
Absolutely.
I know it.
You see, most things that you have been told are wrong. I want you now to start to challenge everything that you have been told. I'm going to share some life experiences with you. Okay, are you with me?
Yep.
You've been programmed to think the way you think, act the way you act, and believe the things you believed well before you had anything to do with it. You see, we believe all children are born geniuses. It's parents, society, and cultures that make them stupid. Any questions about that, please, before we move on? You're happy so far? Good. Let's take it a stage further. Anyone heard of the I-10 IR theory, or, as we call it, the Pinder principle? Can you see this, Rob? Are you getting it? Yeah. That circle is you. That I in the middle is your identity. Whether you're tall, fat, thin, rich, poor, Buddhist, Catholic, I don't care. That is your identity. The I stands for your identity. Part of your identity is called self-image. Has anyone heard of the word self-image? Or image of self? We do not say fact of self. We say image of self, self-image. Write this down. Your self-image of you is not a fact. It's an opinion. It's not even your opinion. It's someone's opinion over your life that you have accepted. Do you get that? Let me repeat that. Your self-image is an opinion. It's not even your own opinion. It's someone's opinion over your lifetime that you have accepted. Reasonable? Okay. Take it a stage further, if we may. All right. Now, let me give you an example of my self-image. As a child at school, I was dyslexic, and still am lexixic. I can speak backwards.
Is that your quote? My quote?
What's that?
That's your words, or is that somebody else's?
Which is that, darling?
The one that you just said, your self-image of yourself is not a quote.
Mine.
Okay. I'll quote it as...
Now you can have it.
What do you think of it? Thank you.
This is all going on. This is for YouTube, by the way, so you can watch it as many times as you wish. All right. At school, I had my English teacher was called Miss Harrison. Miss Harrison loathed me. With being lexixic, I couldn't spell. And she used to humiliate me on every occasion. She'd wait for me in the playground. And like an Exocet missile, she'd have lock, da-dum, here he comes. And she would go me. And at the English classes, she used to stand me on the chair at the back of the class. So what I used to do at English time, I'd run to the class, get the chair, stand on it for when she came in the room. And she used to say, "Get off that chair, Pinder, you silly boy. I get to sit down." She told me I was useless, never amount to anything, the world's worst speller. The problem is, it was her opinion. The worst problem is, I believed it. Again, every child is born a genius. It's parents, society, and cultures that make them stupid. Everyone, God gave you when you were born all the tools you will need to be successful. It's how we use them that counts. Fair enough? All right, let's take it a step further. Miss Harrison didn't like me at all, and isn't Miss Harrison. Like to meet her one day. She must be 150 now and say, "Miss Harrison, you were wrong," or "Miss Harrison, you were wrong," whichever way. All right, now, Rob, can I have something just to clean the board? Or can someone just give me a tissue or something, or a cloth? Thanks, Mel. All right, let's take it a stage further. The identity is who you are inside. Thanks, darling. But we do play many, many roles. I'm playing a role today, I hope, as a tutor. Rob, is that picking up? I'll play a role as a musician. I play several musical instruments. Play the bagpipes, would you believe? That's a kill of an instrument. I play a father, a friend, a colleague. I play many, many roles, as we all do. But in a role which is external, we like people to perceive us on a scale of 1 to 10 to be 9 or a 10. We're cool and we've got it all together. But most people inside are very insecure on a scale of 1 to 10. Many are only a 2 or a 3. How do I know this? Come up with an idea and tell your friends. You're going to do what? What have you got to sell? You're kidding me. And I'll guarantee that 9 or 10 will become 7 or 8 as your doubts begin to show. And other people will ridicule you. And that will go to a 5 or 6. Then you'll go home and tell your mum you've got a wonderful idea, and guess what she will say? "Oh, darling, come to me, yes." No, she doesn't. She said, "I told you so, didn't I?" And that will be a 2 or a 3. That's why most people fail. They might get to a 4 or a 5, but their insecurity, their low self-confidence will bring them back every single time. Soon as they come across adversity, ridicule, setback, they will fall back to their own self-image. Give you an example again of mine. By the way, this is a 4 or 5 hour talk. I'm going to do it in half an hour if I can, but you'll get the message, I think. Now, many years ago I was allied to a company called the AMP For those on YouTube, it's a very large Australian insurance organisation. And they were losing 98% of the reps who were joining them, they were crashing in the first year. And it was costing him, in those days, back in the early 80s, it was costing them $10,000 a head to train. And they said, look, we have a problem. We are losing 98% of the reps. Can you help? See what you can do. So I started to interview them, looking for patterns and trends. First person came, and it was the pattern started there, and the trend got stronger and stronger. They were being product skills trained, but not people skills trained. So they'd go out in the field, and they'd crash. Did wonderful presentations. Ever been there, any of you guys? Got a product you like to sell, and you go out there and you tell them all the facts and stats. You think you're wonderful, but they don't seem to do anything. So I said, they need sales training. So they said, okay, you've got 2 years, go and find some. So I spent 2 years going around the world looking at sales training. What I found was appalling, to say the least. You'd find these sales trainers and motivators would hire a hall somewhere, hundreds of people would turn up, and you'd get an array of speakers. You'd probably get a guy who would stand up and say, well, my father had some camels and they all dropped dead in the middle of Cairo. They got leprosy. But I'm successful. Remember the two little guys, the two little midgets, came around many years ago in the 80s? Remember those? Yeah, they're successful. Aren't we clever? You see, this was entertainment. Had nothing to do with skills. And we found there was almost no skills around. So I said, I am going to use psychology and teach the world how to sell. And my friend said, Lou, tell him what you told me. I said, I'm going to teach the world how to sell and close sales. And he said, what about Alan Pace? What about Dennis Wakely? What about the great Tom Hopkins? I have a letter from Tom thanking me for teaching his men how to sell. He sent it to me. I'll show you. Okay. You see, I am a 9 or a 10 internally. And when you're a 9 or a 10 internally, that's confidence, not arrogance. I do not need other people's acceptance to follow through on what I am trying to achieve. I appreciate it. I don't need it. Let me repeat that. When you're a 9 or a 10 inside, you do not need other people's acceptance to follow through on what you are trying to achieve. You see, in a role, you may be 2 or 3 in a role. If I became a pilot tomorrow, in a role as a pilot, I'd be a 2 or 3. But, are you with me? But inside, I'm a 9 or a 10, so all I have to do is to develop the necessary time to develop the skills in that area, and I can become 9 or 10 in any arena. Before I do anything, I ask myself 2 questions. Number 1, do I want to do it? If I do, I move to question 2. There's only 2. Am I prepared to invest the necessary time to develop the skills to become good at it? So I'm 9 or 10 in that role, 9 or 10 in that role. Have you noticed successful people are often successful at many things? Why is that? It's because they're confidence inside, not arrogance. Arrogance is when people try to portray a 9 or a 10 in their role, but they are a 2 or 3 inside. They are very insecure. Most people are insecure. Okay. Winner behavior. Winners take adversity, setback, ridicule, and failure in their role. Never, ever, ever in their identity. They take it professionally, not personally. When things go wrong, take it professionally. Then look at the skills. When we go into competitions to playing the pipes, if we don't win, I don't take my bagpipes and throw them in the corner saying I'm no good. I knew I wasn't. Everybody sounds I'm no good. No, I say, what do I need to develop the skills? I love music. I just can't help it. My last birthday, I bought myself a bluegrass banjo. I've always wanted to play a bluegrass banjo. I only spend an hour a day practicing. Am I good? Reasonable. It was never questioned, could I do it? When I set a task, that even doesn't even enter the equation. Can I do it? Yes, I can. Am I prepared to put the time in to develop the skills? That's all questions. every single one of you in this room can be highly successful if you follow that formula. Ridicule, setback, adversity, failure in your role, never in your identity. So what do you take in your identity? You take praise and rewards and accolades. So if you come up to me later and say, Lou, that's a fantastic talk, I say thank you, because that would help me to get from there to there. Does that make sense? Never, ever the other way around. That should be taught in every school around the world, in primary schools. Where do children, teenagers, and most adults take ridicule, setbacks, and adversity? They take it there in their identity, which reinforces the low self-image. Yes, sweetheart.
Quick question.
Yep.
I'm learning to accept compliments and the like.
Yep.
But I've always found it very difficult. Do you think that, and the same with giving, whether it be something physical or other, I find it a lot easier to give rather than to take. So compliments, whatever it might be. Do you think that people who are more successful are more able to take on board positivity, compliments, that kind of thing, as opposed to those who aren't easily able to accept?
Can I share something with you? I'm exactly the same. I find it very difficult for people to say, I'm good at what I do. I do find that awfully difficult. I think it's great, but I just find it difficult to accept because I am.
So it's kind of what we were taught is probably
Programmed.
But does that have a reflection on success in your experience?
Why not?
If you don't think you are, then why are you a 9 to 10 on the inside?
I do. Oh, I'm thinking I'm a 9 to 10 on the inside. I know I'm 9 to 10 on the inside. I have no doubts about that, but I still have problems taking praise because I don't think I'm just like everybody else. I don't think I'm different than anyone else. Sorry, yeah.
You mentioned the contrast between arrogance and obviously
Confidence.
confidence. Would humility have a role in preventing the confidence becoming arrogance? Humility is when you're a 9 or a 10, but you don't like accepting it. And some people are. Some are very confident. Are you with me in that arena? We're just going to do that in the next sketch. Okay, but it's very difficult. I find compliments very difficult to take because I'm not used to them. I'm used to, as most people are, being ridiculed. School of Knox. Interesting. We've got a couple of minutes. I'll share something which I've never shared with anyone else. At school, with being dyslexic, or dyslexic, my father managed to get me an apprenticeship at the local textile mill. And it was interesting. I thought, oh gee. So I had to go to technical college. Oh, and I had a teacher in technical college when I arrived there named Harry Scaife. And I went up to Harry, Mr. Scaife, and I said, Mr. Scaife, I can't spell. In a wonderful Yorkshire accent, he looked at me with a ruddy, well-worn Yorkshire face and said to me, nay lad, I'm not here to teach thee how to spell. Can they draw a picture? I said, yeah. You draw a picture. If I understand, that'll be right. That's Yorkshire. I drew more pictures than anybody I knew. And he used to call me up, Lewis, come here. What does that mean? Not did I come top of the class, I came top of the college. I didn't take 2 subjects, I took 5 subjects. I came the top of all time. You see, I wasn't stupid, I was dyslexic. But I believed Miss Harrison for many years, until I came across psychology. And then I thought, wow. Make sense? Okay. 2 to a 3 to a 9 or 10. Any questions, please?
With teaching your children, like I was always put down, so like my 2 sons are always like, you're so good at this, you're so good at that, that I don't want them to think, I don't want them to be, arrogant when they get a bit older, so how do I sort of, praise them all the time, but without turning into thinking that they're top shit?
Cut that, guys. All right. Okay, darling, can I say this? Okay, can I just ask another question first? Will you raise your hands in the room
if you've had a Miss Harrison in your life, like a teacher, a friend, a parent, a sibling, come on, be honest. We've all had them, right? The question is, are we going to let them now influence us? It's up to you. You can stay as you are for the rest of your life, or you can change at any moment. The question is, which moment have you chosen? I hope it's this one, because then it's worthwhile. Answer your question. The question, probably didn't hear it on camera, the question was, you praise your little kids and you don't want them to grow up to be little, yes, devils.
I'm always telling them that they're the best at whatever it is that they're doing, sort of thing, because I want them to have that confidence. But at the same time, I don't know whether I'm maybe making them think that, I don't know, but making them think that they're doing.
Do you know anything about transactional analysis? Well, if you're going to stay with this organisation, you will, because I'm going to teach you. Yeah. TA. All right. TA is one of the things it's called. We're in one of three at all times ego states. It's called the parent, adult and child. It's often called a PAC with little circles around it. I was a member of the International Society for Transaction Analysis Association in America. Okay, and we flip between the two, as I'm doing now, and you probably haven't realised that. But I'm at one ego state and flip straight into another, either natural child or adult. Okay, with child you need to raise with praise. I met a girl called Louise Jones. I will always love Louise Jones. She was the most incredible person, and I said, how are you so successful? And she stood up and leant over a desk. Her desk vanished. She was enormous. And she said, Lou, I raise with praise. I said, what? She said, I raise with praise. I hope she's watching this. Hi, Louise, if you are. I said, what do you mean? She said, I raise with praise. I always promote and reward the behaviour I want people to adopt. Always, right? So if they're doing well, praise them. Okay? They'll get enough knockbacks in school. Trust me, their peers won't let them. All right? But they need that inner self-confidence. So, yes, praise them, darling. All right? But it's not unconditional praise. For example, my little boy is a solicitor and a doctor of English literature. Still my little boy. Always will be. And he used to say, Dad, you're always praising me. And I used to say, Julian, I love you. I didn't say, Julian, I love you because you're good at school or you're good at running. I said, I love you. That's called unconditional love, right? So you're not putting a condition to the love. I love you. Tell him all the time. Still ring him, say, I love you. He goes, Dad, I love you, right? I used to bite his bum when he was a baby. Oh, if he watches this, I am in trouble. You make sense? So you don't say, I love you because of whatever. You love them. Then later I would say, I'm so proud of you because you're doing so well at school. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Okay. So please keep on doing it. You're doing the right thing. But you need to correct, you need boundaries, very strong boundaries. You don't pass that line. And that's what's happening with, I've been on TV many times talking about teenagers, how they're out of step. Is because they don't have boundaries. And you don't cross that line. We won't accept it because we don't discipline them anymore because we think it's wrong to discipline them because they'll grow up to be thugs. No, they won't, trust me. They won't. Does that make sense? Now, the next question is, and I've only got 10 minutes time, how do you get from a 2 or 3 to a 9 or 10? Okay, well, let's do that. Anyone is happy with that? Do you understand it, may I ask?
Yeah.
Where do you take ridicule, adversity, setbacks, and failure? Where?
In the role.
Why?
You don't take it personally.
Why? You're correct. Why? You need to develop your skills. Thank you, sir. You need to develop your skills, that's all. There's no doubt whether you can do it or you can't do it. That's irrelevant. This is why we wrote this program. For children. I first did that in 1999, would you believe, on the Gold Coast. That's the first thing we taught them. We took 20 students. A man called Warren Walmsley ran Martin College on the Gold Coast. And I was having dinner one night with him, talking leadership, psychology, and he said, do you do anything for teenagers? I said, no. He said, could you? I said, absolutely. On the Monday morning, I rang him up. I said, Warren, it's done. He said, you're kidding. I said, nope. So he went to 10 schools and got 2 kids from each school. The school sent them. We asked one question from the kids. Please don't send people who don't want to learn. So they sent 2 kids. There's a scholarship down to Martin College in 1999 Easter. And we took them for a week. It's interesting. The first morning we said, on Friday we're going to ask you to stand up in front of the class and speak for 2 minutes on any topic you wish. It could be friends, hobbies, school, anything you want. And you could see them shuddering. So we took a bit of TA, we took psychology, we took transactional, we took all sorts of stuff. On the Friday morning, we asked them to come. First, we'd like to speak. A young girl came to the front and started to speak. Now, I've been in Toastmasters International since 1964. I know a bit about public speaking. This young girl just spoke for 2 minutes, had us spellbound. And every student did the same. A few weeks later, we booked the Arts Centre on the Gold Coast to give them certificates. And all the parents turned up, the grandparents, the teachers, the principals, and all the newspapers. And as the first kid came up to get his certificate, my partner said, would you like to say a few words? And this young guy said, yes, please. Took the mic and did an impromptu speech. Everyone did the same. The parents, the tears were rolling down their eyes. The principals of the school were gobsmacked. The paper was so impressed they thought to take the photographs. We had to do it later. It was very, very moving. And every one of them, everyone became an I-10. 2 years later, we decided to go back and try to see how the influence was and the results were. And Warren said, well, look, if it was a government department and we had government criteria, he said they would be more than happy if out of the 20, 2 or 3 did well, few did reasonable, and some never advanced. So we invited them all to come back. Everyone except 1 came back, and only because they were overseas. And out of the 20, 12 were going to university. And these were mixed schools, these were private schools, these were random schools. I think it was 5 or 7 were going to some type of tertiary education. 1 was joining the army. And I think, what was the other one? A scholarship with the government or something. But the only one we couldn't have. So out of the 20, we got 19 hits. We did the same in Europe in 2000. Got the same results. And this is the principle we brought them up on. When I did that, I was free. When my teacher said, I don't care about your spelling, I'm not here to teach you how to spell, burden was lifted off my shoulders. I was free to fly. And also to shine. And I want every teenager to do this, in fact, in primary schools. Okay, any questions so far? Yes, no? Sorry about that, Rob, for the noise on there. Okay, let's take it a stage further. You will never be the same again. When we've finished, you will have nowhere to hide. Okay, success and self-confidence, I believe they are the same, just different spellings. So let's have a look at self-confidence. If I spell it incorrectly, I don't care. Where does confidence come from? Would you agree with me? It comes from knowledge. Oh, damn it. Am I right or wrong? Don't worry. Knowledge. I've got 2 T's in there again. Knowledge. When someone is knowledgeable in an area, they're normally pretty confident, reasonable. So where does knowledge come from? Knowledge comes from experience. Where does experience come from? Taking some type of action. So what I'm saying here is if you want self-confidence in any arena, the first thing you must do is to take action. And with that action, you get experience. And you cannot beg, buy, borrow, find, hire, lease, steal experience. You can only experience experience. Every single person in this room can watch as many videos on how to swim as you like, or how to play golf. There's only one way you're going to learn how to play golf and learn how to swim, and that is to do it. Interesting, I gave this talk in Canberra many years ago. A man took me down, you may have heard of him, called Tony, is it Tony Abbott? Good friends. Tony took me down, and I wrote that in Canberra, and no one knew what it meant. In fact, two or three people screamed, 3 are still missing. When I wrote that on the board, they ran out. So you must take action in some area which will lead to experience. Can anyone ride a bicycle? Will you raise your hands, please? Can you ride a bike? Did you? When you learned to ride, did you fall off it? Beginning? Did it hurt? Oh, yeah, you cheated. I was before the training wheel era. Okay, did it hurt when you fell off? Did you get back on? Did you get falling off until you learned to ride? What made you get back on your bicycle? You wanted to ride it. Like me, my desire to ride my bicycle was stronger than the discomfort of falling off. When I can get your, are you ready for it, desire to change and improve stronger than the fear of failing, you will be successful. We talked last week about a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, the best-selling book after the Bible. It's by Napoleon Hill, not Napoleon Bonaparte or Benny Hill, it's Napoleon Hill. Right? That experience, desire, the driving force. Many people say to me, I got a company many years ago, rang me up and said, Lou, I've heard about you. I said, oh, that's nice. He said, you're pretty good. I said, thank you. I took that in my what? Identity. They said, we wanted you to come up to the coast. And we wanted to talk to our men, our reps, and this we're going through, I think it was about 87 when the big crash was on. He said, we've just got rid of half the reps. We're reducing the commissions and taking away the cars at the weekend. Can you motivate them? You've got to be kidding me. You have to be kidding me. I can't motivate anyone. Where does motivation come from? Motivation comes from excitement. When you're excited about something, you get motivated towards it. Reasonable? So where does excitement come from? Excitement comes from getting good results. If you do something, you get good results, you get excited, you get motivated. So what does good results come from? He's having good skills. So you've got good skills, right? You get good results, you get excited, you get motivated. It's a cycle. Where does, right? How do you get started? It's desire. What is your desire? My desire is nothing like yours. To play competition standard in the bagpipes, I'm sure doesn't appeal to many of you. It excites the hell out of me. To be there in mass bands where 200 or 300 pipers are marching, the sound is just, your hair stands to the back of your head. It's just unbelievable when you're playing. I just love it. That may not be your goal. I don't care what your goal is. What is it? Okay. From experience will come knowledge. And from knowledge will come self-confidence. But you must start there, whatever it is. Interesting. They say to me, how do they train elephants? Tie them with a rope. You probably know this one. And it's true. You go to a circus and there'll be a big elephant. Right? A big 5-ton elephant. And it'll have a little rope with a peg. And the elephant will come to where that rope and then it will stop. And you'll find a young elephant with a big chain on it. You say, these guys have got this the wrong way around. No, they haven't. Because the young elephant will come and keep on pulling and pulling and pulling and pulling. It can't break the chain and eventually it stops pulling. Right? It's because it can't. Then when it stops pulling, they just put a smaller chain on it and then a rope on it. Aren't we like elephants? Yeah. We get adversity and we stop. No, we can't do it. Yes, you can. There's enough potential in this room to set the world on fire. The question is, are you ready to use it? And use it for good? I don't know. Interesting, in America, they did a Marineland, you probably know this one too. They had barracuda and Spanish mackerel. And barracuda just love Spanish mackerel. So in a big aquarium, they put a perspex petition down in the middle of an aquarium. They put they had barracuda at one side and mackerel at the other. Now, I don't know if you know, but you cannot see perspex underwater. You can't see glass underwater. So if you've got burglars and you've got a lot of diamonds, put them in a glass of water and put some false teeth in the top and they'll never vanish. So off goes the barracuda for a free meal, and halfway across it bounces off the Perspex petition. And it tries again and keeps on trying. But as barracudas go, sorry about the sound, Rob, but as barracudas go, it was quite intelligent, because it soon worked out that if it didn't go quite so far over, the headaches would stop. Then they slid the petition out. There's nothing in the aquarium. Nothing. And the barracuda used to go where the Barry was and swim back. It was programmed to fail, as most of us have been programmed to fail. I often thought, what must the mackerel have thought? Na 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 na.
He was 9 out of 10.
Does that make sense? You will never be the same after this talk. I am now 2 or 3 minutes into your time. 2 minutes. Can I have another 2 minutes, Mel? Only 2? Please, Mel. Pretty Mel. Okay. Any questions, please, before I wind up? It's on YouTube. That's what this is for. That's going on YouTube. Have a look at it. Don't go through this once. Don't go through it twice. I have given this talk literally thousands of times, and I still love it, and I still get excited over it. This is pure truth.
Well, what's the search?
It will be on, we'll give you before, Rob is the tech guy. I am computer illegitimate. I have no idea what you ask Mel, she'll tell me. I'm useless at computers. I hate them, I shouldn't say that. I did. Sorry? Everybody gets the link. Okay. Any questions? And no?
Just a thank you, that was awesome. Thank you.
Oh, I can't take that. I'm going to take that in my...
You did it awesome.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.